Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is January 14th, 2025, and Joan Laporta held today the long-awaited press conference in order to address what exactly went wrong in the registrations of Dani Olmo and Pau Victor, and this video will be entirely dedicated to the coverage of that press conference. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and we begin this video by discussing Joan Laporta's press conference that he held today, because after many weeks of silence from the club, not knowing what was going on with the whole Dani Olmo and Pau Victor debacle, Joan Laporta finally decided to face the press, explain what happened, and also he did talk about other topics like the Nike deal and the sale of the VIP seats at the new Spotify Camp Nou. Now, overall, it was what I was expecting. It was a typical Joan Laporta press conference with zero accountability, not admitting any mistakes, no self-criticism whatsoever, instead blaming anyone and everybody besides him, including La Liga, Barcelona's enemies, etc. And of course, trying to deflect the attention away by playing to the fans' emotions by talking about the love of the club and blah, blah, blah. Pretty much what politicians do, you know, when they're facing fire. They always invoke love of country and patriotism and sacrifice and blah, blah, blah. Exactly the same thing that Joan Laporta did too. And of course, you know, the whole rally around the flag, trying to talk about how there's so many enemies. They're trying to destroy Barcelona. So pretty much your typical press conference that you expect from a politician with very little information, and instead deflect and blame and trying to play to the fan base's emotion. Now, I will cover the most important or relevant parts, because after all, this was a pretty long press conference. It was 45 minutes long with, again, from very little to nothing of information. So I have highlighted the few relevant portions, starting with, of course, the long-awaited explanation about what happened with Dani Olmo and Pau Victor's registration, and this is what the Barcelona president had to say. We submitted documentation to La Liga on December 27th. From 29th, 30th, and 31st, they asked us for more documentation, and we understood that everything was correct for the one-to-one. La Liga asked us for alternative documentation that was not in accordance with the regulation. We also submitted the documentation to the Royal Spanish Football Federation, which told us that we were missing the one-to-one. But both La Liga and the Royal Spanish Football Federation told us that the rule was obsolete. On the 3rd, we completed documentation that La Liga asked us to validate fair play. Barca has always complied with the regulations. We are in a state of law, and the CSD, or the higher court for sports, in order to issue a precautionary measure, considers that there is damage that is difficult to repair. And so the CSD and the state attorney's office appreciated the precautionary measure. It could have been done earlier. We had planned to sign him with a contract with Nike. Then Christensen got injured, and we took advantage of that to sign Dani Olmo and Pau Victor. That's what we had been told. So pretty much no new information here. Joan Laporta saying that on the 27th of December, Barcelona presented the documentation from the VIP deal, which should have been enough to achieve the one-to-one rule and register both players. But of course, La Liga said no. They wanted more proof. They wanted proof of payment, which did not come until January 3rd. But by then, La Liga said, well, it's too late. The deadline was December 31st, and as such, did not allow the registration of both players. And Barcelona feel that that was a violation of their rights, that it wasn't in accordance to the financial fair play rule. And this is why they brought the case to the CSD. And the CSD, of course, issuing a precautionary measure in order not to cause any damage to the players while this case is being litigated. Now, again, my question to Joan Laporta is, okay, if La Liga were wrong, again, I'm not saying La Liga were wrong, I'm not saying Barcelona were wrong. We don't know, right? This is all in the hands of the judge. Both sides will present their arguments, and a judge will decide. So this is in the hands of a judge. But for the sake of argument, let's say that La Liga did wrong us and they didn't follow financial fair play rules. Why did you wait until the 27th of December? You signed Dani Olmo back in August. You knew before you signed him that you weren't going to be able to register him. So why did you sign him if you knew you couldn't register him? Okay, you decided to sign him anyway. Fine. Let's come up with a plan to register him before you sign him. There's not enough time. Okay, fine. We sign him. How about then? You still had 4 months to the deadline. Why did you have to wait until December 27th? Now, Joan Laporta uses the Nike deal excuse that they thought they could register Olmo with the Nike deal, but it didn't happen. The Nike deal was closed in October. That's still 2 months before the deadline. Again, the question is, why did you wait until December 27th? No response. Instead, let's blame La Liga. Let's blame the Royal Spanish Football Federation. Let's blame anyone. And instead admitting, hey, I just signed them and I had absolutely no plan. I improvised and, well, we got lucky. Christensen got injured and we ended up registering Olmo in his place. But what had happened if Christensen hadn't gotten injured? Then what? How would you register Olmo? And by the way, this is not the first time. And I'm very surprised because nobody's talking about this. I haven't seen any YouTubers or social media personalities or anyone talking about. But everybody forgets about Vitor Roque. Remember, we signed Vitor Roque. We're bringing him in a winter transfer market. Also with no plan on how to register him. And the player ends up getting registered in the place of Gabi, who was injured. Now, we got lucky, I guess, because Vitor Roque did not work out and we ended up loaning him out. But what had happened if Vitor Roque had lived up to the expectations? We would be talking now about his registration because, again, there was no plan to register Vitor Roque. We're registering him in the place of Gabi. Gabi's now back. So now we would be in the same exact boat as Dani Olmo, where we are signing players with absolutely no plan on how to register him. So again, Joan Laporta, huge blunder, but instead of admitting his mistake, let's blame everyone else. Now, Joan Laporta was also asked about the Nike deal, and this is what the president had to say. The contract with Nike is a signing bonus that makes the treasury robust like no other. We were thinking of signing him with Nike, but we waited to continue negotiating, and we got around 300 million more from the contract. We continued with the work. They asked us to approve the contract with Nike in an assembly, and so we did. They told us later that it was not a new contract and only a part of it was counted. Then we went to court, which in this case did not rule in our favor. Now, the reason the court did not rule in our favor is because we did not get the payment that we had promised La Liga. When Barcelona went to La Liga first, they told them we're going to get 150 million euros in signing bonus up front. La Liga said, perfect. All you need is 60. You're getting 150. Amazing. You're achieving the 1-to-1 rule. But then when the Nike deal gets closed, Joan Laporta goes, or Barcelona goes back to La Liga and says, wait a minute, Nike's actually going to give us the 150 million divided in 10 years. So we're only getting 15. And La Liga said, well, you need 60. 15 is not going to cut it. You're not going to achieve the 1-to-1 rule. That's why La Liga did not approve the 1-to-1 rule, even though we signed the Nike deal. Not because they're crazy and they decided to change things up. So the question is, which again, Joan Laporta did not give us any explanation. Why did we tell La Liga that we were going to get the 150 all at once, and then we went back and told them, no, we're going to get it over 10 years? What happened there? Did something go wrong in a negotiation? Did maybe you misinterpreted what Nike was telling you? Did Nike maybe said, I'm giving you 150 and you assumed it was going to be all at once? And then Nike was like, hold on a second. I never said that. We don't know. And again, this press conference, very little information. Another thing we don't know. Why did we pay Darren Dane 50 million euro commission to close the deal? That's an incredibly high commission. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody should get paid for their work. And if you hire someone to play as an intermediary between you and someone else, fine, you have to pay them for their work. They earned it. But 50 million euros? Another thing that was not explained. Now, Joan Laporta was also asked about the wholesale of the VIP seats. And this is what he said. We activated the transfer of the exploitation of the VIP seats. We have 9,600 with the new stadium. About 425 we have transferred for exploitation. It is a very attractive product. We have managed to get 2 investors, one for 75 seats and the other 350 VIP seats. All this for an amount that was what we needed to register the 2 players. It was validated by La Liga and gave us the 1-to-1. Again, actually, this one here, we do get some information. We finally found out the number of seats, 9,600 in total. Only 425 were sold to these 2 investors. But what happened with the price? Because the club was telling us they were going to get 200 million. We ended up getting 100. What happened to the other 100? They don't tell us anything. Now, some people say, well, maybe that was the price from the beginning. I really doubt it because nobody in their right mind He's going to say, oh, you wanted 200 and now you're in a rush because you have a deadline 3 days later. I'm going to give you the same amount. That doesn't happen. Of course, he took advantage of us because they saw how desperate we were. And in fact, when Joan Laporta was talking about the Nike deal in the slide that I showed you a few moments ago, he said that the reason why the Nike deal wasn't signed in the summer was because we were going to get 300 million less, because Nike knew we were desperate to achieve the 1-to-1 in the summer. So they tried to, negotiate down. Instead, Laporta said, let's not achieve the 1-to-1. Let's wait. And since there was no urgency anymore, they were able to negotiate more. Same thing here. Same thing applied here. I'm pretty sure. We had time. They offered us 200. Then they saw us desperate. They offered us 100. Or maybe not. Again, we don't know because Joan Laporta didn't tell us anything. Instead, he played to the fan base's emotion by, trying to rally everybody around them, talking about how Barcelona are the victim of everyone and everybody just wants to destroy us, and everybody just wants to ruin the club. And let's see what he said about that. The president said a lot of people set out with intention to destabilize the club from the outside, but also the inside. They want to knock the club at a key moment in our history with a young team that's going to bring a lot of joy to the club. But they will have to work a lot harder to bury us. They will have to work hard if they hope to destabilize a club with 125 years of history. We are used to it now. Nothing that has happened during the past few weeks surprises me at all. Any campaign to discredit the club will not stop us being a reference around the world and admired by millions of people globally. Now, don't get me wrong. I agree Barcelona face a lot of obstacles in Spain, whether it be La Liga that's ruled by Madridista, the Royal Spanish Football Federation that's ruled by Madridista, the CTA, which is mostly Madridistas, including the refs who are mostly Madridistas. There are a lot of obstacles in the face of Barcelona. However, if you yourself are mismanaging the club and are weakening the club with the things that you're doing, all you're doing is making it easier for those enemies of the club who are trying to destroy us. When you're throwing the club's money away on 50 million euro commission, losing 100 million euros on a deal, on a VIP seats deal, making horrible signings like that of Vitor Roque, and just weakening the club financially, all you're doing is making it easier for those who want to destroy us. So the solution is not just like, look, everybody wants to destroy us. How about we get strong enough where they can't destroy us? And mismanaging the club, throwing away its money, it's only weakening the club, which, of course, a weak prey is an easy prey for any predator. If you are an athlete, let's say, and you're competing and you're like, my opponents are stronger, do you just quit? No, you hit the gym, you get stronger, and you come back stronger. But just saying, oh, they're just stronger than me, and they're trying to beat me, that's it, it's over, then what's the point? So it's not that they're trying to destroy us. We do have a lot of enemies out there, but how about we also become stronger so they can't, instead of weakening the club from within through mismanaging. Now, I wish I could say I was surprised from this press conference or I was disappointed. Unfortunately, I was not, because this exactly was what I expected. A lot of nothing. A lot of just Joan Laporta relying on his charisma, being funny, laughing, cracking jokes, telling us nothing, just talking about the love for the club and blah, blah, blah. But by now, I've been pretty much accustomed to it. And it's a shame. It's a shame because Joan Laporta has done a lot of great work in his first 2 years as president. This past year has not been good at all. And if he cannot accept that, then he's not going to improve, right? This is the same thing I used to talk about when Xavi Hernandez was the coach, because Xavi would come on a press conference after the team just lost and be like, we deserve to win. It was the ref. It was the injuries. It was the club finances. And I used to say, wait a minute. If you cannot admit that you made mistakes, how are you going to improve on them? Because the way you learn is you admit you made a mistake. You figure out what went wrong. You learn from it, and that's how you get better and better. But if you can't even admit that the mistake was done, you're not going to improve because there's nothing to fix, right? You didn't do anything wrong, so there's nothing to fix. Therefore, there's nothing to improve. And it seems like Joan Laporta is going down that path. But anyways, let me know your thoughts and opinions about this press conference down below. I will be uploading 2 more videos because there is a lot more news. So stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, Visca Barça.